Britt is my everything, but after her sister Alex kissed me during a wild truth or dare, things spiraled. I was caught off guard when I discovered, Britt, I'm here for you, while Alex threatened me silently. Now I'm torn, leave Britt or keep up this twisted love triangle. This is a burner account for obvious reasons, and I am obviously not using real names. Here is the extended version, please scroll down for the brief one. I'm a 28-year-old male and I met Britt, a 29-year-old female, and I have never felt for anyone the way I feel about her. It feels like a fabricated movie love where she improves every aspect of my life. She quickly became my best friend. I had a 2-year relationship with a girl before and I do not think I ever felt anything close to what I feel for her. I genuinely love her and would do anything for her. Britt has a sister who is 11 and a half months older than her. They are quite different from one another and do not resemble each other much. Britt is slim, blonde, and somewhat reserved. Alex is very athletic, has dark hair, and is confident. Britt and Alex share a close bond. Their parents are terrible in the worst ways. I believe their father abused their mother. They no longer communicate with him. Their mother has a drinking problem and until recently blamed everyone else for her life's misfortunes. Consequently, most of their lives it was really just the two of them. They attended the same university, have lived together, spend time together consistently, and communicate daily through calls or texts. I am an only child and have always wanted a sibling, so having Britt come with a close sibling who I get along with well felt like a dream come true. Another crucial point is that Britt has several severe allergies. There are certain foods she cannot eat and she has a hypersensitivity to semen. I believe it is actually the fluid and not the sperm, but I am not knowledgeable in this area. Because of her allergy, her relationship with sex and men has not been great in the past. She always has to use a condom, even for oral sex. Our sex life is fairly decent despite this. We are cautious and have only faced minor issues, but I have heard about some past more serious problems she had. Apparently, many men are inconsiderate and deliberately ejaculate on her or remove the condom without cleaning themselves afterward. For both Britt and me, sex is very passionate, but she is more reserved and does not openly express what she enjoys or what excites her. She appreciates romance before sex and loves to make out. She is not interested in trying anything particularly new. So fast forward to a few months ago. We were at her sister's house hanging out with a few friends and ended up playing Truth or Dare. I cannot recall whose idea it was, but I think it was Alex's. There were many dares involving kissing and everyone was quite drunk, so it was all in good fun. At one point, Alex was dared to kiss me. She promptly stood up as if she had been waiting for this moment, pressed her hand down on my groin, sat on my lap, and thrust her tongue into my mouth. It was one of the most exhilarating experiences I have ever had. I became instantly aroused, and she definitely felt my arousal and squeezed a little, almost as if she were saying, "Hello, I know you enjoy this and have desired it." Alex then seemed to encourage Britt and me to drink more for the remainder of the night. Normally, Britt and I would simply crash on Alex's couch, but Britt was particularly intoxicated, and Alex put her to bed in her room. I was on the couch when Alex emerged from her room wearing only a t-shirt. She climbed onto me, and it was incredibly exhilarating. I was very intoxicated, but to my surprise, I managed to maintain my arousal. Alex is very attractive, and I have certainly looked a few times, perhaps even had a dream or two about it, but I never would have acted on those feelings. Clearly, Alex had picked up on it and decided to make her move. The next day, everyone acted as if nothing had occurred, and I thought that was the end of it. I was very mistaken. This was merely the beginning. Alex began showing up at our place when Britt was not around since she has a key. She would whisper things in my ear like 10 p.m. at my place, and I would show up to find she had planned these mind-blowing, adventurous encounters. Her confidence and provocative demeanor were irresistible. She experimented with various kinks, and I was like a puppy, thrilled to see her and willing to let her do anything to me. She made me do things to her, performed acts on me, or inserted things inside me, not always my preference, but the way she did it made me not care. We never established a safe word, yet somehow she seemed to know when to stop or when she might have gone a bit too far. Her favorite act was to pin my hands down, sit on my face while I brought her to climax with my tongue. Honestly, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I want to clarify that I could and should have said no after that first night, but she possessed an irresistible, seductive confidence. She never sent me messages about our encounters, so there was no proof. She warned me repeatedly that Britt must never find out. We did not really discuss anything during our encounters. I think we both wanted to avoid jeopardizing our relationships with Britt. 2 weeks ago, I expressed that this was amazing, but I did not know how it could work with Britt and that we needed to consider an endgame. I mentioned this because I felt it was starting to affect my relationship with Britt. When I was at home and thought Alex might come over, I would sit around with a significant arousal, eagerly awaiting her arrival. My thoughts were filled with ideas of what she might do to me this time, and when it did not happen and Britt returned home, I was so aroused that I was all over her. I never pushed for sex with Britt, but it felt like I needed to have intercourse with her rather than merely wanting it. I began contemplating that I wanted to marry Britt, knowing that I could not continue the two relationships. The first time I brought this up, Alex did not say much. The second time, she quietly seemed to agree, like a child who has stolen a toy from a friend, aware that they have done wrong and need to return it, yet still reluctant. Yesterday, Alex came over in the afternoon. I cannot say that it was like any other session because almost none of our sessions share similarities. Alex often has a specific idea in her mind of what she wants to do, and I simply allow her to do it. She has engaged in some truly wild things with me that I had never encountered before, but yesterday was a bit more conventional, mostly involving a painful yet pleasurable oral sex experience followed by me finishing inside her. No condom. This is significant. We use one sometimes, but not always. She is on birth control, but one cannot be too cautious. There is a saying, do not commit a crime while committing a crime. Britt was supposed to go out after work with friends but ended up at her sister's place. I was out with some friends watching the tournament when I received an urgent call from Britt asking me to grab her epinephrine auto-injector from her house and bring it to Alex's place. She was having an allergic reaction and was concerned it might worsen. Britt usually carries an epinephrine auto-injector due to her food allergies potentially causing her throat to close, but I was more worried than anything and did not concentrate on this oddity. She knew that I was at the bar watching the game and that Alex lives very close to us, so it made sense that she would call me. When I arrived at Alex's place, I noticed that Britt's face from her chin to the tip of her nose was covered in hives. It was especially concentrated around her mouth. It resembled the spots that would typically be stained with fluids if someone were sitting on your face. I looked from Britt to Alex, my mind racing. Alex gave me a glance that seemed to say, if you say anything, I will harm you. I was frozen for what felt like far too long, and it clearly lasted too long because Britt began to console me. She reassured me that she would be fine and expressed so much gratitude for my quick response in leaving my friends to come to her aid. She rambled on with numerous compliments. Alex kept agreeing with her and tried to get me to relax on the couch to continue watching the game. I sat there watching the rest of the Purdue game, my mind filled with jumbled thoughts that I could not sort out. Given their reactions, I am nearly certain that Britt's allergic reaction is to my semen, which is inside Alex. This implies that Alex has been involved with her sister in the same ways I have, which was troubling enough initially but now has reached a level of confusion that I am struggling to comprehend. I also suddenly question whether they are truly sisters, perhaps they are half-sisters or were just raised in the same household. Considering how dysfunctional their family is and the stories I have heard, anything truly seems possible regarding their parents. The question of whether they are sisters or not does not really alter anything, but I now feel compelled to know. If I confront Britt about the situation with Alex, I gain nothing. I would simply be criticizing her for engaging in the same actions that I have done. If I disclose my relationship with Alex to Britt, Alex might indeed threaten my life. It would break Britt's heart and I would likely lose her, thereby jeopardizing her relationship with Alex, which, despite its twisted nature, I do not want to hurt her over under any circumstances. If I simply pretend as if nothing ever occurred and cease contact with Alex, I feel as though I am being dishonest, and I will always be suspicious that whenever they are together, they might be involved in more than friendship. I do not believe I can remain in a relationship like that. I also wonder if that means both Alex and Britt are bisexual, not straight, right? I feel the need for answers to that, but I am not sure why. My final option is the one I dread most, but also feels like the one I should choose. I could end my relationship with Britt without disclosing anything about this situation and just leave her. I am afraid of losing her from my life. She makes me a better person and she has brought me more happiness than I have ever experienced as an adult. I struggle to envision my life without her. Is there a way to maintain this relationship? Brief summary. I have been with my girlfriend for about 17 months and have been cheating on her with her sister for the last 2 to 3 months. I was close to ending things with her sister and wanted to salvage our relationship when I discovered last night that she is also involved with her sister. I was planning to propose to her, but now I genuinely do not know what to do. Story 2. Caught between my loving wife and my narcissistic mom, I'm torn. She's just not good enough for you, my mom said, while my wife fought tears after a family visit. After 11 years of tension, can I mend this rift or is it time to choose sides? My wife and I have been together for 11 years. Her relationship with my mother has fluctuated but has remained the primary source of the few issues we have in our marriage. Even during good times, there is a constant underlying tension between them. My mother had me when she was young. She is only 52 years old, you can do the calculation. She has endured a lot. She was a single mother as a teenager from a poor family. She experienced abuse. She had an early marriage that ended in divorce and subsequently had 2 more sons. She has been very career-driven throughout her adult life and broke her family's history of poverty. She is now wealthy. To climb the ladder as she did, I have witnessed her being quite cutthroat in both her career and her relationships. She is currently on her 4th marriage. My wife is incredible. We met in our mid-20s. After experiencing superficial relationships and casual encounters, I knew right away that my wife was the one. I cannot even articulate it, but the connection we shared was unlike anything I had ever felt before. We moved in together within weeks of meeting each other. After a few years, we relocated across the country. Our relationship is passionate and honest, which is something I had never experienced before. My wife helped me begin to connect with my emotions in different ways and embrace my vulnerability. That is not to imply our relationship is perfect. We experience the typical ups and downs. However, she is the first person I have ever wanted to build a life with, and we have created an incredible life together. She has made me a better man. My wife and my mother both possess very large and contrasting personalities. My mother holds conservative views while my wife leans very liberal. My entire immediate family tends to be somewhat emotionally closed off. In contrast, my wife's family is very open and honest with one another. My mother is very prim and proper while my wife is more free-spirited. The first 7 years of our relationship were challenging between them. They did not get along at all. Years of gossip and snide remarks had pushed my wife to her limit, which was unfair to her. My mother questioned whether my wife was truly the right person for me during a family vacation. She was outright rude to my wife for years and would deny it whenever I brought it up. One day, my brother, who never had a negative experience with my wife, informed me he would not attend my wedding because he disagreed with my relationship. I was taken aback. After pressing him, we discovered it was due to things my mother had been feeding him, so I confronted my mother and threatened to cut off contact if she did not apologize to my wife and cease talking behind her back. To my surprise, my mother apologized, and things have actually improved since then. As a brief background, I began experiencing debilitating panic attacks in my teens and early 20s. I sought therapy, and through it, I had to confront many difficult truths about my mother. She is narcissistic and manipulative. She expresses her emotions loudly and is not shy about using guilt trips and negative attitudes when things do not go her way. Being around her has always triggered my panic attacks. I find myself constantly walking on eggshells around her because she withdraws love when she does not get her way. It has been challenging. I learned to cope by emotionally detaching myself. I do not get upset when she tries to hurt me because I have built up emotional barriers. I laugh it off, forget about it, and do my best to be a good son and support her. She is far from perfect, but I have great empathy for her struggles. Since moving, my panic attacks have ceased. My mother treats her sons as the most important aspect of her life, often in an overbearing and boundary-ignoring manner. I do not have children, so I cannot fully relate. However, my mother tries her utmost to remain involved in our lives much more than I observe in my friends' mothers. My wife and I relocated across the country a few years ago. My mother jokingly mentioned that she would buy a house out here. I advised her against it. When the jokes turned more serious, I emphasized that she should not purchase a property without being within an hour of me. Nevertheless, she bought a house 30 minutes from me. Since then, my relationship with my mother has become tense once again. Recently, she had a trip planned here for my birthday. My wife arranged a trip for the two of us instead, which upset my mother. She made a significant fuss about it, discussing it with my brothers and mentioning it in her Facebook birthday message. It was evident that she was upset and trying to make us feel guilty about it. These are the things that I tend to brush off. I simply laugh at her immaturity and move on with my day. However, my wife, who is very honest and emotional, does not wish to dismiss it. Such behavior would be unheard of in her family. She wants to discuss this with my mother. She wants me to address it with my mother. What I perceive as overdramatic remarks, my wife sees as direct attacks on her character. She is genuinely hurt when my mother behaves this way. My wife is not exaggerating. She is deeply loving toward me, her friends, and her family. Regardless of the issues at hand, she regards my mother as family. The slights and rumors genuinely hurt her. This is just one example of a never-ending cycle. My mother and wife will likely never trust or like each other. They can attempt to pretend for a while, but something always arises. My mother makes a comment, throws a glance, or oversteps a boundary, and my wife becomes very upset. I am on my wife's side in this matter. I have spoken to my mother countless times about her behaviors, but she brushes it off as if it is merely our perception. My wife is a good person, she is loving and empathetic, and I understand why she feels so hurt by my mother's actions. However, she is not like anyone else in our family. My family does not express love and trust for one another as deeply as hers does. We were raised to be somewhat more guarded and protective of our feelings. My brothers and I endure my mother's rudeness without complaint. My wife, on the other hand, leaves her house in tears. I also have deep sympathy for my mother's life. She had a difficult childhood and had to fend for herself as a single teenage mother. She is my mother, and I love her, even though her character flaws have caused me direct pain. I feel it is my duty as a son to be present for her. I continue to hope that this situation will improve and that they will learn to tolerate one another. However, after 11 years, I feel I need to take some action. What should I do in this situation? In summary, my wife and mother hold extremely polarizing values and morals. As much as I want to support my wife, I also feel great sympathy for my mother's character flaws.